Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and today we're making homemade salsa. It's just a couple of ingredients that you can find at your local grocery store, and you're going to be shocked at how delicious it is, but how easy it is to make. You can grab the link for the full recipe in the description below. Let's go! Okay, let me show you how easy this salsa is. This is a homemade salsa that I've been making for years, and I streamlined it to show you how easy it is. I am going to use a food processor, but any kind of like mini food chopper will work, or even a blender will work for this recipe, and I'm going to give you tips and tricks along the way. For those of you who do not know, my name is Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and our main motto is real food for real families. So you're not going to have a lot of chef food and uber fancy foods. We like to focus on getting families to eat delicious food and making, you know, moms and dads or even kids feel amazing when they're in the kitchen and to be able to actually cook. So for example, I have a friend and she's like, what can I bring tonight? Remember, I don't cook, so it's time for me to show her how easy it is to cook, right? Okay, the recipe is homemade salsa. You can find it in the link in the description of this video, or you can say recipe and we will send it, or you can always go to eatingonadime.com and just search homemade salsa. The recipe only needs 7 ingredients, and they're very easily to get. Okay, so let's get cooking. We're gonna start off with 2 cans of crushed or diced tomatoes. I really like using the fire roasted tomatoes, but mine didn't have them, and that's okay. You do not have to use fire roasted, but if you find fire roasted in your store, grab those because it just adds an extra smokiness to the salsa. Okay, let me get this open. This is the hardest part for me, is opening cans. Left-handed people, give me a heart if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're just gonna throw this right into your food processor or your blender. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about this. A lot of people are like, this isn't fresh salsa because you use canned goods. Right. If you want to use fresh tomatoes, you can. These cans are about 15 ounces, so you're gonna want about 30 ounces of tomatoes, give or take. Now the problem is when you use fresh tomatoes, your salsa will be pink. It'll be very pink, but you can avoid that if you make it the day before you want to eat it. So if you make the homemade salsa with fresh tomatoes, you're gonna make it and then you're gonna stick it in the fridge, and it will, like, oxygen and stuff will get to those tomatoes and make them more red. And that's why the canned ones are redder than if you were to pulverize, you know, fresh tomato. Now another way, if you want fresh and canned, so that way you still get the color but you're getting fresh ingredients, you can do 1 can and a couple whole tomatoes. I think I got tomato stuff in it. And that's an easy way too, that you can get the best of both worlds if you're needing to make it for right now. So we're using canned. I love canned, we always do that, and we're gonna be eating it today. So here we go. Okay, so then we're gonna throw in a half an onion chopped. I just coarsely chop it and throw it in there. And then I always like to have, I have some more onions over here in a bag. I like to have extras because we're gonna taste it in the end, and sometimes I want it a little bit more oniony. Now I will say that if you're going to let it sit in your fridge overnight, the onion flavors will increase as it's sitting in the fridge. So if it doesn't have quite enough oniony flavor you want, but you're gonna store it in your fridge, then go ahead and wait, and because the next day it will be a lot stronger. We're gonna throw in some minced garlic. And remember, you can get the full recipe on eatingonadime.com. Then we need some salt. You're gonna want a little bit of salt, and I do think you need the salt. But before, if you taste it like with a spoon, make sure you take into account tasting it with a tortilla chip. So if you're eating it with chips like we're gonna do, the tortilla chip adds a lot of salt to your salsa. So if you make your salsa too salty, it's gonna be way too salty, if that makes sense. So keep that in mind when you do your taste test, which we're gonna do at the end. Then we need about a half a cup of cilantro. thrown in there. And I just eyeball it, and I like to pull out the really big stems because they don't really add much flavor to the dish. But you don't really have to chop it up. If you don't like cilantro, you can leave it out. I'm curious though, if you don't like cilantro, are you okay with eating salsa? Because most salsa has cilantro in it. Okay, I'm just getting the bigger ones out, and then we're gonna throw them in. It's okay to have stems in there, it's just the really big ones do not really have a lot of flavor. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to do, oh, two things, sorry. We need a jalapeno, deseeded. So it's a fresh jalapeno. You can do a jar jalapeno if you want to. I like the taste of the fresh jalapeno because all these fresh ingredients make those canned tomatoes just taste much more fresh, if that makes sense. So the way I like to do my jalapenos, number one, jalapeno juice will get all over your hands and it's super hard to get off, and you're like scratching your nose and your nose is burning. So what you want to do is do not touch the insides. So I cut them in half lengthwise after I cut off the top. I do not touch it right on the cut side. You hold it on the back side and then take a spoon, and then you can scrape out the seeds and the membranes. The membranes is the lighter part, like that. Take my knife, I'm gonna, woo, the juices are strong in that one. Take my two pieces and throw them in. Same on this side, hopefully you can see. Get out of the way so I can see. Can you see? And then we're going to use a spoon, scrape it out without touching it. That way we don't get all that all over us. Scrape it to the side. Cut it in half, boop, and throw it in. Okay. Then we're going, oh, I forgot my lemon juice. I usually like to do lime juice, but lemon works great as well. And again, that's going to add, you could do the jar lemon juice, but again, we're doing as much fresh ingredients as we can to just jazz up the canned tomatoes. Fun fact too, if you have a garbage disposal, these are great to throw in your garbage disposal to help clean the blades. Okay, now we're going to chop it up. We're making homemade salsa, friends. If you need the recipe, just say recipe below. It's simple, it's easy, and it's delicious. I'm gonna turn this on. Okay. Let me show you what it looks like so far. Get this out. Oh, you just look straight up. Look at it. Okay. We're gonna do a taste test because I feel like by looking at it, I'm gonna want a little bit more onions in it. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's so good. I do want just a little bit more onion. The lemon juice is, the lemon or the lime juice is just what really makes it. Oh. I have some like leftover sliced onions. Do a little bit more. The cilantro flavor is good. It's not too spicy. If you want less spice, use a half a jalapeno. If you want more spice, do two. Or you can just throw in a couple of the seeds. But I prefer to just do two than add an extra jalapeno because you never know. Some jalapenos are not very spicy and some are crazy spicy. So your salsa might go from really mild to extra, extra hot. Okay, now I'm gonna pulse it. Okay, another try. Are you guys jealous that I'm getting to eat all this, right? I'm gonna a big bite this time. So I like to try it with a tortilla chip because remember the tortilla chip is gonna bring a lot of salt to the recipe. So you don't wanna over salt your salsa. That's really good. And that's how easy it is to make salsa, friends. Tell me you cannot make this. I love making this like once a week in the summer because it's so good on like freshly grilled chicken and to top just to eat with vegetables or to eat with chips. It's so light and tasty and you look like a pro bringing homemade salsa. So if you're going to a party, if you're doing something tonight, quickly whip this up real quick and you're gonna see, I mean, come on, it's so easy to make. It will store in the refrigerator for up to a week. So you can make this ahead of time. You can, you know, save your leftovers. This is so great, poured on top of chicken and thrown in the crock pot and cooked all day with like some taco seasoning, and you can use the homemade salsa as well. So your options are unlimited, friends. Okay, so go make some salsa. I think that's it, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Just drop the word recipe below and we are gonna send this recipe to you. And remember, go to eatononadime.com so you don't miss out on any of our delicious meals for everyday families. I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.